Well, happy Friday, everybody. Thanks for joining us for our Friday 5 Live conversation. And as I mentioned before, if you have questions or comments, please send those via chat. And if you could please change that setting so that your messages go to everyone. I think everybody likes to see the questions and comments as they come through. And then you all will have access to the recording next week. If you're a GoToKnowledge member, the recording will be on your dashboard, and otherwise we will email it to you. And our host today is Meg Foster. Meg has spent 20 years in higher education focused on student success initiatives and working in areas such as orientation, faculty development, online learning, student leadership, and first-year initiatives. And Meg, I will pass it over to you now.
Thanks so much, Melissa, and happy Friday, everyone. As we wrap up the semester, it's so hard to believe that we're just a few weeks away from the winter holiday and the end of the fall semester. And what a fall semester it's been, right? I mean, we're continuing to address pandemic learning and just the continuation of what we experienced last year. So delighted to have so many of you with us today as we get the chance to talk to Dr. Reginald Stroble. I do want to remind folks, as Melissa kicked us off, that we love the chat functionality in our Friday 5 Live conversation. So please, if you do have questions, always I provide questions to guide our discussion. But if things come up or you want to share resources or any questions with us, don't hesitate to do so in the chat. Please just make sure it's addressed to everyone so we can all see that. And feel free, if you'd like to tell us where you're from. We always love knowing where folks are because we just have people join us, Reggie, from absolutely all over. And so that's wonderful. So today's topic, we're really talking about, there's this trend that we're seeing coming out of the last basically 2 years with an incredible decrease in the number of male students overall in college, but specifically today we want to focus on our Black male students. And I know at the colleges where I teach, there's a lot of concern that how can we make sure that we're continuing to recruit those students, but also to retain them and to support them in their success at our institutions. And I'm just so thrilled to have Dr. Reginald Stroble with me, and it's just wonderful to keep saying that title. Reggie is the Assistant Director of Student Success and Achievement Programs at Anne Arundel Community College in beautiful Annapolis, Maryland, and he coordinates the Black Male Initiative there. And this is really, I mean, Reggie, not to put words in your mouth, but I feel like not only is this the work of your heart, it's really the work of your life. I mean, you've been doing this work now, quite honestly, for far before your days as doctor, far before your master's degree. I mean, it's just really, really the work of your heart. Reggie received his EDD from Virginia Commonwealth University. He has a master's degree from Virginia Tech, where you did amazing work there with supporting Black male students, and I hope you'll talk about that today. But I'm also very proud of the fact that Reggie began his educational journey at Reynolds Community College. And so often in our world of student learning, and we don't always know, right, what happens to our students, but it's just an incredible honor to get to be with Reggie because he is one of my former students, and so to get to see him here and learn from him just means absolutely more to me than I can express. So Reggie, thank you.
Thank you so much, Meg.
Oh my goodness. So I, of course, have questions to guide our conversation, but as always, we do love it when our audience pops in with your questions as well. And I've just got to ask you, Reggie, I mean, I know a little bit about your story. And I remember you as, believe it or not, as an 18-year-old college freshman. If we can remember back, that wasn't that long ago.
No.
Aged too much. But would really love if you would share with us your own story of your educational journey, because it is such a powerful one.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Meg. And just wanted to say good afternoon to everyone who has joined us today. And thank you for just taking some time out of your day to be with us today. Really appreciate that. And also happy Friday. So I actually graduated high school in 2006, and I graduated with a 1.9-ish GPA. So every college that I applied for, I originally was denied. So I went to local community college, not really knowing exactly what I wanted to do. Got accepted at J. Sargent Reynolds Community College, and that is where my educational journey began. It was about my second semester in school. I saw a flyer to become a J. Sargent Reynolds student ambassador. Didn't know anything about the program, but I had a professor to recommend me to the program and told me I needed to meet Kemper Steele and meet Meg Foster. Went through, interviewed, and that was the spark that really helped me through my journey as an African American male. So every elementary, middle, and high school that I went to, kind of underserved, underrepresented areas. I'm from Eastern Henrico, Virginia, low poverty. I really didn't have a professor or a teacher to really kind of speak life or to believe in me. And it wasn't until I became a part of the J. Sargent Reynolds Community College Ambassador Program where I met Meg and met Kemper. They spoke life into me, and I really just kind of took off from there. But still, while I was at community college, I was working at a warehouse because out of high school, a lot of the African American males from where I'm from, they either go work at Philip Morris, which is a local kind of tobacco company. They may go work at DuPont, who works with kind of railroad stations. So the warehouse job was going to be the end goal for me. I was going to stay at J. Sargent Reynolds Community College, get my associate's degree in business, and then I was going to work and retire from that job. The recession hits and I get laid off. So I'm doing well at the community college. Still wasn't really a high achieving student as far as GPA. Had about a 2.6. So once I got laid off from my job, went to Virginia State University. Same kind of thing happened. I found a professor, Dr. Cedric McCall, who believed in me. I got accepted on the spot. And I would say at Virginia State, that is where I really got to expand my mind as far as what I could actually do within higher education. And then student affairs would be a route for me. So while at Virginia State, I was able to do some research opportunities at the University of Virginia. Also at Virginia Tech, I did a summer research internship there. They really loved me. They needed some more minorities on campus, and they were able to see some of the work that I was able to do with the African-American males. Was able to go to Virginia Tech on a full academic scholarship, which is a first for me and also a first for my family. So a little family background history. I'm the first male in my family to graduate with a high school diploma and also now with a college diploma. And I'm also a first generation doctor in my family. So I was able to go to Virginia Tech, stay there for 3 years. I was able to get some professional experience and also able to build their Black Male Initiative while at Virginia Tech. Graduated in 2014, came to Virginia Commonwealth University, and this is my doctoral journey. I felt in my professional career, a lot of the positions that I wanted to apply for, I really wanted to get more into the policy side of things. And I was understanding in my educational journey, it's good to be, coordinator, it's good to be assistant director. You're doing a lot of the on-ground work. But I wanted to now advance my career where I could actually start being at the table for policy. So in 2017, I decided to get my doctorate degree, and I also decided to do it 3 years straight. So I went summer, spring, fall, summer, spring, fall, summer, spring, fall. So I missed a lot of birthday parties, weddings, etc. This past 3 years, and I was able to graduate when the pandemic actually started in 2020 from Virginia Commonwealth University. So that's a little bit about my educational journey. And the last point I just wanted to make, Mad, before we go to our second question, a lot of the African-American males that I do work with, for them, I am the first doctor that they have seen. So a lot of them ask me, well, what kind of doctor are you? Because they only know, about medical doctors. So being able to work with them and also to being able to share the story with them, out of high school, I did not get accepted into a major 4-year university. I didn't have any college prospects. I literally had to start at the community college and work my way up. So the reason I want to give back, because I want to help them navigate through some of the potholes that I had to go through our educational system. Because a lot of the colleagues that I started with at the community college did not finish. So, it's something about that persistence as an African-American male, I would say. And I'll speak a little bit more about that because the research shows about persistence. Research also talks about having grit as well. And having those two characteristics are the things that really led me to get my doctorate degree. If I could, put a research term or research point on it, it definitely would be that persistence and having grit, and being able to persist through my educational system. When going through my K through 12 system, I was really never pushed to go get my doctorate degree or let alone even my associate's degree.
Right. That's so, I knew some parts of that story. I mean, because I remember, you had sports, athletics has always been, I think, an important part of your life. I know you're very involved with youth coaching for football and basketball, or just football. I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, football, basketball, and also baseball. And so I'm currently coaching now, coaching for a team, Glenley Lions 13U. I'm coaching in the underserved, underrepresented area. We were able to win our conference championship, state championship, and also our regional championship. So actually tomorrow we're leaving for Kissimmee, Florida. So I coach 13-year-olds. This is some of my student athletes. This is their first time leaving out of the state of Virginia. Also, this is their first time flying on an airplane. So we are doing some good things. We're able to, again, working with a lot of kids, even in their school system now, a lot of people are not speaking life into them. So being able to kind of speak life into them and also let them know, and to have an educational component with my coaching as well. So to take them on college trips and take them on local college tours so they can actually be exposed. Because the first time I was exposed to any college campus was when I was 18. Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to reach back to the younger generation to show them that there's a bigger world out here for you. And these are the steps that you can do to get there.
Mm-hmm. And so, and I was just visiting at a local at Cristo Rey High School. I'm going to be doing some work with them. And they're a school here in the Richmond area. There's a national organization of Cristo Rey schools, but if you're not familiar with that, they really target underserved populations. And one of the things they were talking about is how important it is to get their students onto a college campus. Every student in their program spends at least one summer doing some sort of program, camp, learning opportunity at a college, because I think the research has shown that students who are exposed to those kinds of opportunities then see college, right, as a realistic option for them. Sure. And so I love hearing you say that, you're taking your students, these athletes, and showing them these other things that exist out there. It's just, and I know that it seems to me that one of the powerful things you do, and I don't know how you have the time to do all of this. Reggie is also the dad of two absolutely precious small people, twins.
Yeah, identical twins.
If you have like the energy source, feel free to share that with us today during our podcast. But that mentoring component, right, is just such something I can't even speak to the power of representation. I mean, I know we hear that a lot in the literature and a lot in the research, but I just really appreciate how you embody that and then and share that with us. Is this a good time to transition so you can tell us about the Black Male Initiative, Anna Rundle?
Yes.
And this is not your first kind of working with this kind of Black, because you did this work at Tech as well. Yeah, so share with us. I want to know so much about this program, and I know there's some future visioning to it as well. I'd love to hear that.
Yep, absolutely. So I got my start in just an overall kind of college-wide initiative at Virginia Tech. And with this program, I really did a lot more of the revamping of the program. So really reaching back to students and actually getting them involved into the program. Now, what I do agree with the research that it is showing that there is a lack of engagement for African American males at colleges worldwide. So if you're at a community college, if you're at a predominantly white institution, if you're at a Hispanic serving institution, there is a lack of engagement for our African American males on campus. And research is also showing that, depending on how African American male does that first semester, is going to be an indicator of their success for their trajectory in higher ed. So one of the things that I was able to establish at Tech was an early initiative and program, or early college invite program, where I collaborated with the admissions department, and we were able to get the demographic information for the incoming African American males, and we would get them on campus at least a week or two before the semester even started, because that, for me, and also with the research, it gives them a different just competitive advantage where they're able to see what is what on campus. And it also helps them develop a sense of belonging. So one of my favorite practitioners, or one of the practitioners I really used for my dissertation, was Dr. Terrell Strayhorn. He coined a term, a sense of belonging. So in that research, that is showing, and this is not just for African American males, this is for students in general. When a student feels more involved or a part of campus, they are more likely to persist and graduate at higher rates. So if they feel a part of campus, and then we can add in the student engagement piece if they're involved in an SGA, or if they get involved in a student club or organization, that helps increase retention as well. So that was really kind of the focus of my initiative at Virginia Tech. Also did an initiative at Virginia Commonwealth University and also James Madison University, where I looked at the African American males there. But currently at Anne Arundel Community College, again, this was another revamp process for the Black Male Initiative. And one of the things that I wanted to share today is to reach the African American males at Anne Arundel Community College. I actually had to deviate from best practices, and here's why. What I've learned with working at African American males, and I want everybody on this call to know too, one of the things that you have to do, you have to see what fits and what works for your African American males on campus. So for my students at Virginia Commonwealth University, I was able to really engage with them heavily on social media. So I had to learn how to use TikTok. I had to learn how to use Twitter and how to use Facebook. And that was the way that I was able to engage. I connected with more African American males on social media at that particular institution. And Virginia Commonwealth University is a Research One institution. Now working at a community college, I tried the same tactic of reaching out to our African American males via social media. I'm working with more adult learners. A lot of my adult learners were not on social media. So I was having events, which I thought were well planned out, well thought out, but I wasn't getting the participation that I was really hoping for. So what we did, so me, myself and my team, we actually took, and I don't want to say old school, but we took an approach that is currently not best practices. The best practices will tell you need to engage with African American males on social media. You need to engage with them at different athletic events. You need to engage with them, having like a student kind of organization or student bazaar form. But I simply, I built a team of 5, and we called every African American male on campus. And it took us a week to do it, so it was time consuming, but our participation rate increased by 63% by just calling our African American males and being able to make that direct conversation. So not only were they getting the emails and getting the social media blasts, they were also now putting a face to the email. So they were actually having the actual connection point, and it wasn't just the email. So for some institution, just sending out the email is hit. But with at Anne Arundel Community College, I actually had to make that connection point with students. I really had to make that connection points with students. So I really wanted to highlight that. I really wanted to highlight just that connection point at Anne Arundel Community College. So that's one. So two, I also have a background in career services. So now with the Black Male Initiative at Anne Arundel Community College, we have added a career component, and we've also added an academic component as well. So for the individuals who are on who are institutions, your academic affairs and your student affairs may be separate in a sense. With my professional experience, who haven't experience in student affairs and also academic affairs, and currently I'm in academic affairs, I like to have a perfect marriage of the two. So I like to have career services component where a student now comes in and with my program, they have resume, we do job search, preps, and we also do career fairs specifically for my Black males. And then we also, every Black male in our program, they are set up with an academic advisor. So with the academic advisor, they're going through the educational plans, the student wants to transfer. And we also now have an early alert tracking system with our African-American males too. And this is, and again, I'm just speaking on the neighborhood that I grew up in as an African-American male, really kind of letting our guard down or saying that we are struggling or need help has been an issue. And for every institution I work at, I've seen that trend in African-American males as well. So I've had to put an early alert system because I would talk to the African-American males in my initiative and I would ask, well, how are you doing? How's your grade? And I would get the generic response, I'm good, I'm straight, or I don't need any help. And I'm like, no, you just failed that Bio 101 exam and you got a D, you actually do need help. So we do kind of add the academic component, and we also add the tutoring component to our program at Anne Arundel Community College. And our major event or program that we utilize to kind of recruit is going to be our Black Male Initiative. So we have a Black Male Initiative Summit every year. So this is, sometimes we bring in scholars from across the country, but this year we're actually going to utilize and tap into all of the African-American male staff members and faculty members that we have on campus as well. So that's a little bit about the Black Male Initiative at AACC, some of the things that we're doing. And then last point I did want to add, I am a part of a Maryland Male Students of Color overall, it's like an overarching kind of committee where if you do a men of color, or if you have just a Black male initiative, we all come together at least once or twice per month. And we let each other know exactly what we are doing. And I think that's a model, no matter what state you're in, I think that could be effective. So even if, let's just say we have someone here from Texas, even if you have to reach out to a couple of your colleagues from your peer institutions and you all just set up your own once a month meeting, because you're going to see similar trends. And then you're also going to be able to identify with just other initiatives that may work at your institution. So I did just want to put in that every institution and every Black male is going to be unique and is going to be different.
So I heard so many important things there. One, that we really need to listen to our students, right? Yes, there are best practices, but that each population at different institutions are going to have different needs. I think you made a really important point about so many of your students, it sounds like, are adults or adult learners. And that's a trend that I think we're going to continue to see, right? That's the population that's going to be enrolling in college more and more, we hope, in the coming years. But I love this network. Now, is it specifically Maryland community colleges?
Maryland community colleges.
Okay.
Yeah, Maryland community colleges. So we all meet once a month. Right. And we talk about those issues. We talk about what's working, what's not working, and then we combine and do a big summit for the year. So we actually come together and we plan a summit as well. And it's a good way, so for my summit, I love to have it more as a conference style. So we have multiple sessions, multiple speakers. And the reason I like to do that, because I want to prepare our African American males, if they are to go to another conference, they know exactly what to expect. So if we're sending some of our African American males to NASPA or ACPA or any professional development conference, you know, if they're in the School of Business, if the School of Business has some sort of internship fair, we want to make sure our African American males are prepared. So we also use our summit as a training ground as well. Okay, these are some of the things that you're going to see at a business fair or internship fair. You may want to dress this way. We go through how to tie a tie, how to, you know, have a business dinner. We go through so much to make sure that they are prepared. So once they get those opportunities, they're already ready.
I'm remembering our dinner that we would do to make sure that we all knew how to behave at a business kind of meal, and we used to do that in our leadership program. Joyce has asked the question: are you referring to the summit that has taken place at Montgomery College
Yes.
prior to COVID?
Prior to COVID, Joyce, and then while COVID has been going on, we still have done 2 summits as well too. So yes, that one at Montgomery College.
And I think about, I love how you said, you know, if this isn't something that your state has, I mean, you could do powerful connections regionally. I mean, I'm thinking about, I don't know if we have this in the Richmond area, I should know, right? But between VCU and Virginia State and Virginia Union and the community college, and I mean, that would be a very ripe opportunity to have really important conversations about how we're supporting our Black male students.
Absolutely.
And then the last thing, I know people are going to probably curious about this. So you talked about, you know, you have a team of 5. So so many of us are struggling with losing staff turnover, loss of, you know, budget, and we've had cuts. Blah, blah. So who is on your, so you're housed in academic affairs.
I
sounded like, if I understood. And I love your talk about this perfect marriage between student affairs and academic affairs, because that's a, you know, you and I are, yep, we're lined up right there. But who's on your team? Are they people who directly report to you? Kind of tell me about the structure of that.
So one of the gripes that I have with Black male initiatives on college campuses is I think we all could make an argument for more staff members or more team members. So one of the things that I had to do was I had to create a committee because out of my department, I have 2 advisors who report for the team, but then the rest of the team is going to be faculty or staff members from across the campus. So, and the reason that I did that is because doing works for African-American males, sometimes it could be very siloed. You can oftentimes feel that you are doing the work by yourself. And once at an institution, once you're identified as the person to work with African-American males, you start to get that influx of students where people may say, and they're saying all the kindness of their heart, well, okay, you know, if you have an issue, you're a Black male, you know, you can go see Dr. Stroble. But what I've had to learn just as a professional is to kind of balance that out with individuals around me who's also committed to the work as well. So they still can come and see me, but if they need a more in-depth kind of questions or something, I now have people that I can send them to. So yeah, so 5, so 2 that directly report to me, and then 3 on the committee who work across campus. So one of the things that to kind of help with that piece, because we talked about mentorship earlier, was being able to create a mentorship component for the Black Male Initiative to include faculty and to also include staff. So this way you're including folks who are in academic affairs, then you're also including folks who are in student affairs. And that way your messaging is getting across to 2 different audiences. So for my faculty members, they're able to send out information from whatever communication devices they use for students. So if they're using Canvas or if they're using Blackboards, with the connections I have with faculty members, hey, could you let your class know that this event is happening for the Black Male Initiative? Because they may reach a Black male that I have never seen before. On the student affairs side, from connecting with the director of student engagement, could you post this on whatever kind of tool that you use to get the message out to students as well? So using that mentorship program, where I actually have a faculty or staff member who serves as the primary mentor. And then under the faculty and staff member, we have a student mentor. So a student who's a sophomore, may have been at the college for 2 semesters, who actually want to come back and give back, because one of the things the research is showing too, that peer-to-peer mentorship is important, and that is also crucial. And so we pair our new students with a student who's kind of been through the process or knows a little bit about the college, and then we also pair them with a faculty and staff mentor as well. Because again, I just learned by doing Black Male Initiatives, you have to have some support, or you have to have some team around you. So if you're in a situation where your institution may not necessarily have the funds, so let's say you're the director of a Black Male Initiative, your institution may not have the funds to hire you an assistant director, or an associate director, and or a coordinator. You can't really necessarily build your team out. One of the ways to increase your effectiveness is going to be able to create yourself a committee. So you have a committee with individuals across campus. And then the second thing that you do, you build out a mentorship program with faculty and staff, and you're only asking them to dedicate 2 to 3 hours per month to meet with the students, kind of check in with the students. And again, I have a whole structure for that, but not really asking too much for the faculty and staff. As far as time commitment, that's the way you kind of increase and you gauge. So again, you look at yourself as the umbrella. You are the kind of the hub where everything kind of flows, but you have to have a team around you. And I think the easiest way to do it, just again, I'm just speaking from experience and from mistakes and just best practices, you have a Black male committee with individuals on campus who are committed, and then you build out a mentorship component of that committee.
Okay. We're getting some great questions in the chat. One of the questions is, do you have alumni who are involved in this effort now? And that's an interesting question, because you're at a community college, right? And I'm listening to, peer mentors are wonderful. Sometimes that's a struggle in a community college, because students are moving through, you don't have the 4 years, right, that you have at a Virginia Tech or a Virginia State. So to go back to that question, it was, what about alums and their involvement?
That's a great question. So I'll speak to my experience at James Madison University. Alumni were really excited to get to be a part of the program, and they were excited because it was their way to give back. So again, it'd be that same mentorship model where instead of a faculty and staff member, you just replace them with alumni. So and that could be a situation where, I don't know who asked the question, but you may be at an institution where the faculty and staff, they may say, well, I don't have enough time, or you may have an influx of Black males and you don't have enough faculty and staff members to connect with them. You reach out to alumni, and that's a great way for alumni to give back. So I have utilized alumni a lot. And I've also brought alumni back to actually speak to our students. I do that a lot as well too, because they are individuals who have been through the process. And again, they'll be able to tell how they actually navigated and made it through. So especially like for schools where I was not necessarily an alum, having an alum to come back really gave that perspective of, all right, I stayed in this residence hall, or I remember taking this professor, or I remember homecoming week. So it gives them just a different perspective from someone who's actually been at the institution. So I love to bring alumni back.
Awesome. So our next question is this one function of your job, or is this your full-time job? Which I think is a great question, because it kind of speaks to some of that future, visioning.
That's a great, so this is a secondary function of my job. So my primary function as assistant director is I oversee the advisors in our department. But the secondary feature of my job is the Black Male Initiative. In every institution I've worked at, the Black Male Initiative has been the secondary function. So as I'm looking at just new trends in higher education, I am starting to see directors of male student success, assistant deans of male student engagement. I am starting to see those type of positions to come about, but I'm not seeing, there are not a lot of directors of Black Male Initiative jobs in the country currently. But I do think within the next 5 to 10 years that it is going to start to grow because again, if institutions are going to focus on retention, um, because I think, let me back up. I think with institutions, the first thing they kind of focus was on actually kind of just attracting and getting Black males to actually come to the institution. Where the disconnect has been the retention piece. All right, so we have them here, but how do we actually retain the African American male? So I think it's really going to grow in higher education, where you are going to start to see more directors of Black male initiatives come about. But that has been a secondary function for all 4 jobs that I have been a part of and kind of worked with. So it's been a secondary function. So again, that's why it's important to have a team around you, because when you are working with that specific student population, it can sometimes, I won't say overpower your full-time job, but it can definitely take some time.
It sounds like you have 2 full-time jobs to me.
Yes.
I'm just gonna be real with you. And I think about, I love this vision that you have, that hopefully in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see primary roles. Because one of the things we've discussed a lot in this podcast, particularly in the last 18 months, has been, if we are institutions that truly value diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? I mean, I think there's a lot of hypocrisy in higher education, to speak truthfully. And so, so I think that's a vision that's important for our future in higher education. I want to get to Shanae's question, which is, are you partnering with a TRIO program to provide further academic support and interventions? And I don't know if Anne Arundel has TRIO programs.
We don't have a TRIO program, but we have a TRIO model. So I work for the Student Achievement and Success Program. So we work with underrepresented students, first generation college students, and we also work with students who we also work with our military veteran students as well. So we work with underrepresented students at our community college. We consider our veterans to be underrepresented as well. So we're not a TRIO program, but we do have a TRIO model where the students who participate in our program, they receive academic tutoring. They also receive a financial incentive to be a part of our program. So we have 1,300 total students who are currently in our program. And if they attend multiple events and then also do some academic advising, they get a financial incentive from either $250, sometimes it's up to $500 as well. And then we also provide that same incentive for our Black males. So our Black males, they become a part of our initiative, and then they also become a part of the Student Achievement and Success Program, where they're able to receive textbook assistance, which I truly love. Because again, we take that financial, for students having a financial barrier to get their books, we try to help eliminate some of those barriers to student success. So yeah, so we're not a TRIO program, but we do use a TRIO model.
And so 1,300 students, you read my mind. I was wondering how many, I mean, that is a really, in my opinion, a significant number. And where does the funding come from for your incentives?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the thing that I love about the community college is we do have the options to have private donors. So we do have donors who may donate to our Black Male Initiative. We were able to get some scholarships from some donors as well. So really appreciative for that. And then we actually have an institutional budget. So it comes from the top down, which I truly appreciate that, our president and our VPs, they do make it a priority for this to be included in our budget. So we do have a budget from our institution that specifically lines out, this is the amount that you are going to have for the students who participate in the Student Achievement and Success Program. And then I also have a separate budget for the Black Male Initiative.
Okay. Another great question that we've received. Have you considered outreach program ideas for 9th through 12th grade to increase exposure, and how this could feed then into the Black Male Initiative at Anne Arundel?
That's a great question. So currently we have an initiative where we partner with the local high schools, And in this initiative, myself and my team of advisors, we go to the high schools at least once a month, and we actually bring in representatives from financial aid. And then we also bring in someone from admissions, and then we also bring in our student life department, where we give students presentations, but we also, because I've seen scenarios where, a community college may come and talk to students for 30 minutes and then that's it. We actually do a series for the students at the high school. So not only are we giving them the presentation with the information and knowledge, but we're actually walking them through. So for every for every school, we do this scenario based. So we'll start off. So we have one next week, and we're just starting off how to apply to college. Because again, with some of the high schools that we're working with, we are working with first generation college students. And me as a first generation college student, my parents were very inspirational, and they gave me a lot of good advice, but they didn't necessarily know to tell me, okay, if you're struggling with English, or if you need to, get into a class, this is who you need to actually go see. So we do a series base where, the first is how to apply. The second is the ins and out of financial aid. The third, we talk a little bit about student engagement. And then fourth, we actually get those same students and we take them onto our campus and we give them a tour. So again, if they come to AACC, we're fine and we would love to have them, but we're all about exposure. So again, we still are, even if they don't attend AACC, we still have kind of walked them through and guided them through the process, even just, SAT prep, ACT prep, when to take it, how to take it, where the facilities. So we do a series based with the local high schools where we are connecting with freshmen through seniors. So I've been in my current role for about 3.5 years. So now I'm starting to see the sophomores that I worked with when I first started the initiative. Now I'm starting to see them actually trickle in to come to AACC. So that has been very helpful. And I think that, again, builds a pipeline. So, and the reason that it's important to build a pipeline, because when you are working with minority programs, so if you're working with a students of color program, men of color, African American initiative, one of the things that you have to prove is the effectiveness of the program and why you should get funding for the program. So one of the things that, again, learning from being on the student affairs side, really having to kind of necessarily show your worth or show why the program is effective, you have to show that this program is now actually bringing in students into the institution. So that has been one of the strategies that I've utilized to show that this is the importance, is building that pipeline program. So that's a great question. And that's one of the ways to guarantee increase your funding and also show the institution that your program is being effective.
Well, and a great follow-up question to that, several folks have asked kind of, what are you seeing as far as student success outcomes, like retention rates, academic, are students more academically successful? Because you're right, we do have to justify, right, that here's our return on our investment, to use that horrible term.
So a third part of my job is I oversee our summer bridge program within our office. So myself, the director of the unit, and our team, we all collaborate and we come together. And for our summer bridge program, I'm actually the person who checks on the students every day. So again, we're looking at their retention. And the students who participate in our summer bridge program, they are significantly outperforming the students who don't participate within the summer bridge program. And I talked about that earlier. So within our summer bridge program, we actually, we have professors on campus who teach English, who teach math. We have a writing section, and then we have arts, and then we also have like a career development section of the program as well. So we have it from 9 to 2. And we do this for 3 weeks in the summer. And so with this program, again, these, majority of our students, some students have to take a placement test. So the placement testing where the students place at, we place them in that course for math, English, or writing. So this is giving them 3 weeks work of prep, and it's also giving them a time to really understand the institution as well. And for some of those students, those same professors that teach them in summer bridge, they end up taking them because they're like, all right, I already know how this professor is. I'm kind of already get the feel for this professor. So for recruitment and retainment, our summer bridge students, they are the students who are being recruited and retained at a very high rate. Because again, I truly believe, even just looking at best practices, these students are getting a leg up and they're getting an advantage before school even starts for them. So, the first day of school, they already know they know where financial aid is.
Right.
They know where the library is. They know where all their classes are going to be. So we're taking away some of that guesswork and some of that nervousness that I'm seeing, especially for our first generation college students, when it's just their first time on campus. We don't want our students to feel alone. And then again, we want to develop that sense of belongingness for our students within the Summer Bridge program. So once they come onto the campus, they already feel that they are part.
I want to ask one more question because I know we're a little bit past time, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time. And if you do have questions that we don't get to, feel free to please put them, in our chat. And I know Reggie's wonderful, and I can send them to him, and he'll help us get them answered. But Ken had a great question: is there a mental health and well-being aspect to your practice with a Black Male Initiative? And I mean, if ever in time there was a more, I think, pressing need to support our students, so in that area. So would love to hear about if that's a component, if so, how you're weaving it in. I know sometimes community colleges have greater access to mental health care, or some of us don't have any, as in the community college system in Virginia, really. So
that's an amazing question. So when I was at Virginia Tech, and I'm going to answer the question too, but just wanted to kind of give context. When I was at Virginia Tech, this is when the Mike Brown murder happened. And I remember having a conversation. We had an event for our students just processing grief. And we actually had trained counselors at that event. So what I've learned from that process was I wasn't the person that was able to help students grieve in that moment. I was the person to be able to facilitate and to lead the conversation, but I was not necessarily the person who was equipped and trained to actually help them process and grieve through that moment. And even me, as someone who's running the Black Male Initiative, I needed a space to process, and I needed a space to grieve. So for every event that we have, in particular, so we have events called Real Talk. And this is a space where African-American males can talk about particular current issues that are going on, or just issues that they may just be facing as young males. And one of the components of that program is we have a trained counselor in those programs, just in case, again, as we're facilitating through a conversation, if something triggers someone, we allow them space to go out. Secondly, when we talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, the first thing that we ask students during our program is, what is your preferred pronouns? That is huge because a student may project as male. A student may, and that's one of the things I challenge the guys on too. Even though we are a Black Male Initiative, we have to define what maleness looks like. And also what maleness looks like for you may look differently for another student. So we have to be very careful. So I even tell speakers, ask students what's their preferred pronoun or their preferred name. So one of the things that I do in that space, I would just, I may say, my name is Reggie Stroble, preferred pronouns are he, him, his. Or my go-to is my name is Reggie Stroble. You can call me by my preferred name, which is Reggie. So just making sure, again, we're being inclusive in our space too, because I've had students who project this male, but they may identify with the LGBTQIA community. So have a space for every student to come and be a part. So not only do we talk about, we talk about issues that may affect males who are heterosexual. We talk about students who may be queer. I mean, we talk, just do different intersectionalities of identities. And I think that's another important component of our program is the intersectionality piece, because you have multiple identities that intersect. So you can't just put a Black male just into one box.
Right. Right. Reggie, we're unfortunately at time. We could talk for hours. And I do want to say I've captured our chat, so we've got a few questions that we'll make sure that we get addressed and get out to everyone. If you're a GoToKnowledge member, you'll have access to the recording. And if you're not, don't worry, we'll send you the recording so you can listen to it again, share it with friends. And as a reminder, everyone can subscribe to the Friday 5 Live podcast and listen in. I think it pairs nicely with a warm beverage and a walk, if that's your kind of thing. Reggie, I just really want to thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to reach out to you and to say, please share with me your knowledge. I mean, I know that, as a white woman, that's a place of privilege for me to come to you and say, hey, can you teach me about this? But you just have so much that you give, and I am so grateful for your time, for the way that you mentor me and all the people in your sphere. We're all very, very, very blessed, Reggie.
Yes, thank you so much, Meg. Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks to everybody for listening and the great questions. I truly enjoyed the discussion.
Yeah. Well, happy wrap up of 2021, Reggie, to you and to your family and to everyone listening in. We have almost made it to the end of the fall semester. We're looking forward to a new season in January for Friday 5 Live and continuing these kinds of conversations. And Reggie, I'd love to have you back. We didn't get through it all.
Yes, I would love to come back.
We need some more time. So thank you. Please, everyone, be well, take care. I hope everyone has time for rest and renewal. Angelica said, please bring Reggie back.
I will come back, Angelica. Check. I will definitely come back.
I can't wait. So thank you, everybody. Please take care, and please do fill out our survey afterwards. That helps us inform our future conversations as well.
All right. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Oh, yeah.